everybody, welcome to episode 93 of Driftless Knitting. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and you can find the podcast on Ravelry if you search for Driftless Knitting under the groups tab. It's a little quiet there right now, but eventually, someday when things slow down a little bit, maybe we'll have a knit along again or a couple other group activities, you never know. So today is Wednesday, May 13th, I want to say. It's either the 13th or the 14th, I can't remember. And it is, I think it's almost 8 o'clock at night. I usually don't podcast in the evenings. This is definitely a new thing, but I'm trying to squeeze it in because in about 2.5 days, 3 days, we are moving. So I have been busy packing. I've been wanting to kind of get everything organized and ready to go. And I didn't want to pack away all of my finished objects and things like that. I thought about waiting until we were in the new place, but who knows how long it's going to be until we're settled. I just figured I'd give you an update since it has been quite a few weeks since I podcasted, and I have a lot to show you, and that's just going to keep increasing as the weeks go by. So yeah, I am mixing up my schedule a little bit and doing an evening podcast. Hopefully the lighting is okay. I have a floor lamp in front of me, and then I also have my ring light on my phone. Hopefully that doesn't run out of battery or anything, and we can get through all of my projects and everything. I hope you all are doing great. I know things are a little strange right now. I've been working from home for about 2 months now, and yeah, it's definitely a struggle sometimes. But yeah, hopefully you're doing things that are keeping a smile on your face, or at least just getting you by. Yeah, there are some days where I feel like I can accomplish anything and have free time on my hands and stuff, and then there are other days where I just struggle doing the basics. So it's definitely kind of a balancing act. Anyway, let's get going here. I'm going to start off showing you, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff. Okay. Let's see where to begin. So many of these things weren't even on the needles the last time we talked. I have started and finished quite a few things. I think has it been like 3.5 weeks? That sounds about right, since I podcasted last. So yeah, there has been a lot of knitting. The first thing I'm going to talk a tiny bit about, but not too much, because I'm still not 100% sure about this particular project, but this is a design that I was working on. I showed you some sneak peeks with it a few times over the last couple episodes. It is knit with a homespun house, her 80/20 sock base, in the Juniper and Xenophilius Explains the Deathly Hollows colorways. I decided I wanted to do a 2-color shawl with these 2 yarns, and I love the way that the yarns turned out. I love the patterning. It's the shape of the shawl that I'm not 100% on yet. So I want to block it. I want to see what it looks like on, and kind of how I would style it before I feel comfortable writing it up and publishing it as a pattern. If I personally am not sure how I would style something or wear it, I'm not going to expect, other people to necessarily figure that out. So this was a little bit of a new construction method for me. I was just kind of experimenting and seeing what it would turn out like. So I've never knit a shawl exactly like this before, so I just kind of wanted to test it out. But like I said, I will wet block it. I will get it stretched out. It's a little bit, I don't know, the stitches are still a little bit tight in a sense. I purposely didn't want to do it on a really big needle. I think I knit it on a size 5 US. So with fingering weight, like that's still, a decent size for fingering weight, but it's definitely not like open and meshy and airy. So I just want to let those stitches relax a little bit and see kind of how much it grows, and then from there decide whether or not I like it enough to publish it for you guys. So anyway, I will kind of just give you a quick look. This is one of the corners, and like I said, I do like how I kind of started with some garter and did some stockinette and some kind of garter ridges with the new color, and then a really simple lace pattern panel. So that's about all I'm going to show you. It just kind of like repeats a few more times, but like I said, the construction, the shaping is what I don't want to show it when it's not at its most, I don't know, to its advantage, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I enjoyed knitting that just because I love the yarn. I really enjoy the colors, and it's always fun to kind of, I don't know, test something out and wait and see what it's going to turn out like. So that was really fun. I bound that off, I think, last weekend, which was very exciting. Something else that I bound off last weekend was this cowl. I started this and finished it in about a week, almost a week exactly. And this is called the Twinkle Spark Cowl. I forget who it's by, apologies. But this is for this is for the Knit Circus Stash Busting Cal. Knit Circus right now is hosting a knit along to kind of work through your Knit Circus yarn. So that's going on in our Ravelry group, and I knit this in our new Twitter painted colorway. And this was a colorway that I actually designed, and it is just the most fun springy colorway. If I put it too close to the light, the yellow and the green is going to get really, really blown out. So apologies for that, but I just want to show you the other colors really quick. Let's see, is that, that's about right. Go ahead, honey. Hi. He's getting relegated back upstairs. Anyway, guest appearance today. So that's about right, I would say. This blue, I love this bright blue. And then I actually, it's really interesting, the technique I use to get the purple. Not gonna like talk about it too much, but so then it goes into two different shades of yellow. You can't really tell the difference here on the camera, but this shade is a tiny bit lighter than this one, and then into the spring green. So yeah, I had seen this cowl and I had favorited it, and it was just kind of waiting for a good, I don't know, a good yarn to knit with it. And when I was contemplating what project to do for the knit along, I wanted to do something springy, obviously something that's been in my stash for a while. And yeah, I kind of landed on this one. This colorway just came out a couple weeks ago, but I've had this in my stash for a while because this was the prototype for that colorway. So this is the first one that I dyed to test out the color, and then from there we dyed the rest of them. So if you are interested in this colorway, just head to knitcircus.com and you can find it there. I pretty much did this to pattern, although that's not necessarily true actually. So this is where I cast on with the green, I knit to here, and then I realized, so if you can see, you can't see it that well, but it has these kind of like ruching stitches that are kind of meant to look like fireworks. That's what the designer was trying to do. So down here, there you can kind of see one of them. I was quickly realizing I was going to run out of yarn. If I decided to knit, you're supposed to knit a certain number of stitches in stockinette to mirror the stitches in stockinette up here, because there's the first ruching section, and obviously there's a big section of stockinette here before you do that. And I didn't think I was going to have enough yarn. I could have done a few more rows in stockinette. I realized that after starting the ribbing, because I did have a little bit of yarn left, and I extended the ribbing to be a little bit longer then, so it doesn't quite match right here. But I wanted to use more of this color. I wanted to get through more of it, and I didn't feel like ripping out and going back to the stockinette. So I just kept knitting, ribbing. Since it's not a sample for Knit Circus or anything, it's just my own personal cowl, I didn't really care. So that's, I guess, a little bit of a difference between the pattern and my own project. But otherwise, I really liked it. One of these stitches was quite confusing to me, the way that it was written out in the pattern. The directions were not clear whatsoever. She has a tutorial up on YouTube, because, oh yeah, this is I think it's Yarnia Designs. I forget her name, but that's her design name. And she also has the podcast Adventures in Yarnia. I've never watched it. I need to. But I believe I follow her on Instagram, and that's where I saw the cowl for the first time. But she has tutorials, and the tutorials are very well done. They're very clear, and I would highly recommend them if you're going to do the pattern. She has links to them in the pattern if you're looking at it on a computer or a device of some sort. Sorry, I have something in my throat. Otherwise, you can just like look it up if you have the written pattern printed out. Yeah. And yeah, her tutorials are very well done. The written descriptions of the stitches are not as clear. So definitely recommend the tutorials. So the next finished object, like I said, that one I finished last weekend. It took me about a week. This one I actually finished earlier than that, a couple weeks ago. And again, it was on and off the needles in about 3 days, I think. I have been wanting a thicker, warmer hat for a while, because it gets really cold around here, and even my worsted weight hats sometimes let in a little bit too much air. So I wanted a bulky or chunky hat, and I had this beautiful skein of hand-dyed chunky yarn in my stash. And this was hand-dyed by a friend of mine that used to have a yarn company. We are getting quite a few interruptions tonight, which I expected. As you guys know, or if you haven't watched before, we currently live in a loft, which is completely open. So our bedroom, everything upstairs is completely open. We just have one big great room downstairs. That's our kitchen, kind of eating area and living room, which is one of the reasons why we're moving. We are expecting a baby. Here, let me stand up. Since I'm already like cutting into the finished object portion, let me just give you a little update. So there's the bump. It looks really cute on camera. Look at that. So getting bigger, getting a lot bigger. I am 23 weeks pregnant, and we are expecting a baby boy. I don't know if I even knew that the last time I podcasted. We found out a few weeks ago that we're having a baby boy, and we're really excited about that, due in September. So yeah, so we're moving to a larger apartment with separate bedrooms, which is gonna be great. So since we've both been working from home, and my husband's been home we hardly ever have alone time in the apartment. So that is actually one of the reasons why I haven't been podcasting. He's working, or, you know, we're doing something together, and it just doesn't work out. I used to be able to podcast on mornings when he was at his parents' house, because they don't live too far away, or and I just haven't had many opportunities. So anyway, that is why if this episode looks a little choppy, it's because he's either going up and down. He just got a phone call, so he went outside. So I stopped it, and he's talking out in the hallway now. So anyway, we can keep going here. Thank you for your patience and understanding. So I was talking about the Wilson hat. The Wilson hat is a chunky weight hat. I've done a few of these before, and I really like this pattern. It's just mindless. It's kind of this broken rib type stitch. It has a really long brim. I think I made the brim even a little bit longer because I wanted to make sure it would come down over my ears. I have a lot of hair, as you can see. So if my hair is down, it kind of makes my head bigger, you know? Those of us with really thick hair, it's gonna add a little bit. So sometimes it's hard to keep a hat down. So I just wanted to make sure I had enough room for that. This one is meant to be kind of a slouchy hat. So even without, you know, my hair making it come up a little bit, I wanted it to be a little bit longer so that it could be a little slouchy. But yeah, I love this yarn. I was saving it for something special. It was a kind of a limited edition yarn that she did. And those of you from Winona or La Crosse who also got this yarn a few years ago at Yarnology, quite a few years ago, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. This is the Frozen Leaves that Yarnology had as a limited edition yarn. So I love the way it knit up. It's so gorgeous. And I do plan on putting a pom-pom on it, but I can't find my pom-pom maker. I have enough yarn set aside and saved. But yeah, once I find that, probably within the moving, I'll come across it and I'll put a pom-pom on top. So yeah, since my hair is down, oh, look how cute. So there we go. There's the Wilson hat. And it is warm, and especially with my hair down, it is especially warm. But yeah, I'm really excited to have a thicker hat to kind of keep out the wind. So that, like I said, on and off the needles. I love knitting chunky things. I hardly ever knit chunky things. I honestly don't have a lot of chunky yarn in my stash, but it is really satisfying when you cast something on and just like 2 days later, finished object. This is actually another kind of story like that. This is a cowl I knit for my mom. She has a May birthday, and then also it's Mother's Day, so I usually end up knitting her at least one thing, sometimes 2 things. And I just haven't had a chance to see her with all the COVID-19 things going on. I have seen her once since all of this started back. We had our shutdown orders back in March, and she lives in Illinois, about 2 hours away. So it's not as easy for us to see each other social distancing because you have to drive all this way, and it's just a little bit more complicated. So they have come up once to visit us, and we sort of did a, 10 feet, 6 feet apart type thing where we got to just visit and talk. I'm hoping to see them again soon. They're bringing up a couple pieces of furniture that I had growing up that is going to go in our apartment that they've been storing for me. So they're going to come up and hopefully drop that off this weekend if it's not raining. But anyway, that whole thing was to say that I knit my mom something and I haven't been able to give it to her yet. So this is a sweet little cowl that I whipped up. There is no pattern for this. I'm hoping to get a pattern written up. It's just a nice, simple lace design. And it's knit with a DK weight. And I really love it. This is a silk and merino blend. It's a Mrs. Crosby Likes to Play yarn, or Mrs. Crosby, maybe they just shortened it to Mrs. Crosby now, but when it first came out, that's what it was called. And this is a skein that I've had in my stash for a long time. My previous boss and my friend Kelly got this for me at a trade show when Mrs. Crosby was first being released. So I don't know how many years that was ago, but quite a few. And this is the color Squid Ink, and I can't remember what base it is, but it is a single ply DK merino and silk blend. So yeah, this was so fun. I cast this on one afternoon a couple weeks ago, and I cast it off the next evening. So really, really gratifying, instant gratification for sure. And yeah, I think this makes just beautiful presents, beautiful gifts. So yeah, there it is. And I honestly can't remember which one was the cast on, which one was the bind off. I can't remember which way the V's went. I think it's this way. But it doesn't matter. You can wear it either way and it looks beautiful. So I think that's all. Oh, it's not all of my finished objects. Oh my goodness. Okay. Next up are these adorable things. I still have to block these as well. The cowl I have blocked, the one for my mom. The hat I have blocked, but the Twinkle Spark and my shawl that I designed, I have not blocked yet. So next thing are these adorable socks that I made for our little boy. So these are the perfect newborn socks, I believe, or just newborn socks by Tabitha Gandy, who is one of the Hey Sister, from the Hey Sister podcast. And they used to have Hey Sister Yarn Co. She used to be Awesome Socks on Ravelry, but she's since changed it to Tabby Gandy, I want to say. So you can find her on there. I think actually it'll still come up if you type in Awesome Socks, because I didn't realize she had changed her Instagram handle, and I wanted to tag her in a post when I was knitting these, and it's still, her name still came up. So this was, oh no, actually this was the first one I did. So the green is Woodland, maybe, from, I just said Hey Sister Yarn Co. and now I can't think of, Woolberry Fiber Company. I knew it was in there somewhere. So Woolberry Fiber Company, and then this is actually another Woolberry yarn. I was worried that I was going to run out of green. I was knitting the first sock and I didn't really know how much I had. This is leftover from a shawl I did by Tammy Gore. I knit a 2-color shawl with these 2 colors. So I just had leftovers. I thought they would be really cute socks, and I was worried that I wouldn't have enough for the second sock if I continued to knit the entire thing. So I just did a little bit of a contrast on the toe, which I think is adorable anyway, so I don't mind. And that contrast is the Graham's Garden colorway by Woolberry Fiber Company, and it's the same one as the body of the sock. So I just did the opposite then. I did have enough green, as you can see, to not only finish the first pair, but then also do the contrast toe. So I have 2 little pairs of socks, and I'm gonna add that to his collection. I have these 2. I have a little sweater that I did. And is that it that I've knit so far for him? I gotta get going. I have plans to do a baby, I wanna do a baby vertebrae. I also want to do a flax light in a fingering weight, because he is going to be born in September, and it can still be kind of warm in September. So I'm thinking September, October, when he's still really little and in a newborn size, I'd like to have a flax light for him. But yeah, and I want to do a baby blanket. So I have my work cut out for me. But yeah, so that is my last little finished objects, but it goes really well into my works in progress because I started a third pair of the newborn socks, and I'm almost done with the cuff of the first one. I just started these yesterday, I think, so haven't gotten too much knitting done on them quite yet, but this is the color I'm working with. It's a spun right round color. I don't know the name of it. This is left over from my Find Your Fade. So I'm finding some really good ways to use up some scrap yarn. I do have a cozy memory blanket, which I'm actually going to show you this week, but also I had even more left over, so they're just going to make really adorable baby socks. And I have plans for 1, 2, 3 more pairs. I also think I'm going to increase the size a little bit. I don't want to knit too many pairs that are like super tiny, because babies grow very fast, and like I said, September, beginning of September is still kind of warm, so by the time it's chilly out, he might be totally have outgrown these socks. Yeah, so, but I can't resist knitting the tiny pairs. I have this in a really sweet bag done by a local maker. Laura is her first name, I believe, and she is Pointel Designs. And she did a trunk show with us at Knit Circus, and her bags are just awesome. So they have this awesome heavy duty zipper and then a really fun fabric on the inside. And I loved just the subtlety of this fabric with the plants on it, and it's perfect for spring. And I showed on my Instagram how the first 2 pairs of socks I knit completely matched the like garden theme of this bag. So this has been my baby sock knitting bag, and I love it. Okay, so next up, let's just go with the nearest thing. I've had this cast on for a few weeks. I have not knit very much on it in the last couple of days because I have not had the brain space. And you'll probably see in a second why I need brain space to work on this. So this is the, I'm gonna butcher this, Orthogonal? I think I said that right. The Orthogonal Shawl by Emily Green. And this is the picture of it. And I don't know, it's a little shiny, so you might not be able to catch it. But inside that shawl, oh, there you go. You can see those. See all those lace panels? Holy buckets. This is a 3-skein fingering weight shawl. Yes, you heard me correctly. It's very large and it's quite detailed. The pattern itself isn't difficult, you just have to pay attention. And I'm knitting this with Knit Circus. This is a sample, I should say that. This is a sample for Knit Circus. And it's the Cut the Mustard semi-solid, so a really beautiful golden yellow. And this is our Opulence base, which is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. I love this yarn so much. Just so gorgeous to work with. I've knit a couple of things out of this yarn, and even though this shawl, it's actually quite fun when you're in the mood for something like kind of like a puzzle. If you're like me and in lockdown and quarantine, you can get kind of in like a rut of wanting all the mindless things. Like I've been wanting to just rewatch all the shows I've watched before, or just like sit on the couch and do nothing. And that's good, that's great, but sometimes your brain just needs a little bit of stimulation, I guess. So that's actually been it's been really fun to have this kind of fill in that gap. So like I said, I am not too far in. I'm getting there though. I have, let's see, where's my first ball of yarn? I have all 3 balls in here. I'm probably not even halfway through the first ball of yarn, but it does feel substantial when I hold it up like that. I feel proud of myself. So yeah, this is the top. It starts at the top. It's a triangular shawl like you guys saw in the picture. And right now I just have it on a 24-inch, but I have 2 more sizes of needles in the bag because eventually it's gonna just get so big. But you can see it does have like kind of a ridge, a texture, but then it also has the eyelets that will open up once it's blocked. So you can see those kind of geometric sections. But yeah, so that's been fun. I haven't picked this up in about a week, I would say. Which isn't the best. Like, I'm sure my boss would prefer samples to be done faster, but I think she knew she was giving me this huge sample and it was gonna probably take the rest of quarantine to finish it. I mean, hopefully quarantine's not gonna be long enough to, yeah. Anyway, we don't have any immediate plans to open back up. We are currently just selling online at Knit Circus, and Wisconsin is starting to loosen its restrictions, but we only have like 6 or 7 full-time workers. Maybe there's 6 of us, I think. And none of us really feel comfortable opening up. So we're gonna stick to online, and yeah, thankfully that's been working for us. So if you are a customer of Knit Circus, thank you so much for just supporting, and yeah, we really, really appreciate it. But anyway, another tangent. This is in one of my Chasing Acorns bags. These bags, we first started carrying Chasing Acorns at our shop last summer, I wanna say. And they're just really great drawstrings, but they have a vinyl inside, which is absolutely fantastic because it keeps everything, it's like waterproof. So if something spills on the outside, it's not gonna get into my project. And it also just makes it, I don't know, really sturdy, really nice. And it also has a snap bottom, so I could turn this into, so here's a snap right here. And then there's snaps in the center, and I could turn this into a box bottom bag if I wanted to. But right now I just have so much stuff in here. All 3 skeins and cakes of yarn are in here. The pattern is in here. The 3 pairs of needles that I'll eventually need are in here, just the different lengths. And I have one of these Knitter's Pride. Yeah, Knitter's Pride. I'm not going to take it all the way out, magnet boards, so I can put the pattern on there, and then it has this like strip that I can move down so I can keep track of my charts. This pattern has 3 different charts that you follow at once for the sides and then the center, and they kind of shift as you go. So because you're increasing, it kind of changes which ones you're doing. So definitely have to pay attention to that, and having it on the magnet board and being able to kind of move those markers, it's amazing. I don't know why I didn't start using that sooner. The Alaska hat, I think I must have showed you that last time. If I haven't, it's gone. That was a sample too. The Alaska hat was the first one, the first project I actually used the magnet board for in years, and I don't know why I haven't broken that out. I haven't done too much chart knitting or color work knitting, to be fair, but I just think, yeah, it's just a great tool to have. So yeah, so that's the orthogonal, did I say, I don't even know if I said that right. I can't even remember. Shawl. And this next whip is one that I just cast on yesterday. Because I finished the Twinkle and Spark cowl, I wanted to do something else for the rest of the Knit Circus knit along because it's only going through the end of May. But I had another cake of yarn picked out to work on during the knit along if I finish. So I have that in this bag. This is a Darn Yarn MN bag, and it is also Harry Potter themed, as was the last one I showed you. That one was Quidditch themed, and this one has the cartoon Harry Potter. Chelsea doesn't sell these anymore with the window, but she has some other beautiful bags, which honestly, I like the window bags, and this is great for like small projects, but her bags right now that she sells are incredible. They are so, I'm gonna use the word chic. I don't know. They're just on a different level, I think, than her old ones. So yeah, I don't have any of her new bags yet. Oh no, I take that back. I do. I have one wool wedge. The trees, I don't know if I've showed that on the podcast, but the fabric on the top is like trees, and on the bottom it has really, really pretty forest green wool. It's beautiful, but that's actually one of my favorite bags. But she has some other bigger ones. I would like a bigger one that has like handles, then it has a drawstring, so the fabric comes over the top and kind of closes things off, but it's still like a bucket kind of, yeah. Anyway, so this is with a really, really old colorway that is discontinued and I've had for literally years and years and years. I bought this long before I worked for this company, when I was still up in Minnesota at the first yarn shop I worked at, and this is called Sandcastle. It's on our Greatest of Ease base, which we still sell, which is an 80/20 merino nylon base, and it's fingering weight. And yeah, you can see browns and blues. That's like one of my favorite color combinations. And I decided to knit the Ikoy Cowl out of it. So the Ikoy Cowl originally was done with a gradient mini pack. The designer used one of those gradient mini packs for it, and we took that and just sort of knit it with one of our full gradients. So in the pattern, it calls for kind of like switching colors and doing like a gradient shift. With our yarn, obviously you don't have to do that. So I'm just kind of ignoring those directions and just knitting and doing the increases and stuff. But basically, this is a bandana style cowl. It's gonna be really, really hard to show you. But basically, you start in the, yeah, and it's rolling up on me and everything. So you start in the corner here, you increase out, and then eventually you stop increasing on one side, you continue increasing, and then she does some really cool, funky thing where you like turn it, and then the two ends come together and you seam it. So it's like a sideways bandana cowl. It's pretty awesome. We have quite a few samples of these because they've been such a popular project for our customers. And yeah, so I have knit one before and I decided I needed one for myself. So yeah, turquoise green and turquoise blue and brown is gonna be a fun thing to wear. And I'm just kind of in that first color only, where it's really bright and playful and fun. But so the last work in progress I have to show you, I thought that the Ikoy Cowl was the last one, but I have been working on my cozy memory blanket. I haven't showed this to you in probably a few months, maybe even longer, but I just got the urge to break this out, and I think it went back to kind of that wanting something comforting, not wanting to think, not wanting to start anything new. There's a couple of days where I cast off a couple of those projects and I didn't want to start anything complicated at all. So grabbed my Cozy Memories and I knit 5 squares within a couple of days. So I think this was Sunday. Sunday I knit these 3. So the red one with my Gnome Knitter Progress Keeper on it. That is a honeycomb. I got that quite a few years ago. I don't know if she's actively selling Progress Keepers right now. I think she had another baby and she was taking a break, but she may have brought her shop back online. I don't know, but I have a few of her stitch markers or Progress Keepers, and they're really cute. So there's my honeycomb. So I did this red one. This is out of a Madeline Tosh Merino Light Mini. And it didn't come from a full skein, but I just had a little unicorn tail is what they call their minis. And, oh gosh, what you doing there? Oh, get a granola bar, okay. Don't knock my camera over. Eee, oh shoot, jeez. I could have just gotten it for you.
There we go, alright.
Okay. Like I said, it's a little weird around here. Boxes everywhere and furniture stacked up and it's crazy. Okay, the second one then I added was from Cowgirl Knits, I believe. I knit a pair of socks out of this, and my former boss and friend Gabby brought this back for me from South Africa. So this is 100% merino, I want to say, and it was really lovely to work with. So I was happy to get a square out of that. And then next came this beautiful blue. This one was a mini I believe I got from a friend for my like Advent exchange. One year we did like a we called it our Franvent, I think, I can't remember. Friend Advent. So anyway, I love this color. It's just like the sweetest blue with darker specks. And then, so those 3 I think I did Sunday. Then Monday, again, I was not in my brain space, just wasn't there. I decided in the couple hours I had to knit, I was just gonna knit a couple more squares and weave in the ends of the first 3 I did. Which I know, right? Weaving in ends as you go, who does that? I have to or else I'll go crazy. So the next one is the Twitter painted colorway from Hue Loco, and I knit my original pair of Birds and Bud socks, which is one of my patterns. I knit that out of this yarn. I love it so much. It is so springy. And then this last one, which I'm still not sure about my color choice because I'm worried it looks too similar to this one down here, but probably when I get more colors around it, I won't even be bothered, but yeah, that's okay. That's all right. This one right here is Homespun House. I knit my sister a pair of socks in this for Christmas last year, and it is the Christmas at Hogwarts 2018. And I just love this colorway. Those socks were so much fun to knit. I love knitting them. And she loves wearing them, which is even better. And now my brother-in-law has kind of like slyly asked, he's like, can I get a pair of socks? So, yeah, Nate wants a pair of socks now too. Oh no, not Trevor, no. But yeah, so I'll have to knit him something. But yeah, this is so far the length and width of my Cozy Memories. I want to make it a little bit longer because right now this just sort of goes over my lap a little bit, and I would like it to maybe be able to fit 2 people. It's not going to be bed size or length, but I would like it to be a little bit bigger of a throw. So maybe I'll add maybe 3 or 4 more squares onto the end of it here. And then maybe square it off and continue growing it. So yeah, that's very exciting. I love knitting these miter squares. They're so mindless, and I love choosing the colors. I have this in a Little Women tote that my best friend got me a couple years ago for my birthday, I think. Because she knows how much I love that book and that movie. And let's see if can I show you how many minis I have? I don't even know. It's like, these are just all leftovers, or you can kind of see, or minis from friends, or that I've gotten as gifts. Yeah. So I have quite a few colorways to work through. And then I also have, I'm keeping these separate because they just get way too crazy. These are all the leftovers from my advent from last year, my Homespun House advent. So I have enough of each color to do a square. So I'm gonna get 2 projects worth out of that advent, which is money well spent in my opinion. So that is that. I have a feeling I'm going to be gravitating towards that a lot more as I get more and more pregnant, and maybe just if I don't want to start anything too complicated. Although I do have, like I said, I have a couple projects on the list that I want to make before he's born. So, yeah. But anyway, I have received one thing in the mail since I podcasted last, which in my opinion is amazing. I've been so good, and I haven't bought any yarn since my club yarn came. So this is the On the Banks of Plum Creek Homespun House Club, Little House Club. I didn't even give a warning because it's been a month since this came, probably close to a month. It came, I think, right after I finished, or right close after I finished podcasting the last episode. That sentence probably didn't make sense. It's late and I'm tired. So there it is. Got some bright greens and reds and some purple. And then this came, I forgot to say, this came on the 75-25 merino nylon fingering weight. She did a choice between fingering weight or DK, and I chose fingering weight. And it's 420 meters or 470 yards. So quite a bit there. The Progress Keeper that came with this one. Oh boy, should I take it out? You can probably still see it, okay. It's just upside down. But this is from Simply Serving. She is a polymer clay artist and does Progress Keepers, and she's doing all of the Progress Keepers for this club. The one for this month, and sorry that it's upside down, is Laura, who of course is the author and the main character of the books. And this is Laura from the 3rd book, On the Banks of Plum Creek. And she is wearing a little fur cape and a muff. And this is from the story, the Christmas story from that book, or one of, technically they go through 2 Christmases in that book, but I won't get too technical because I could talk about those books all day, which would be probably boring. So anyway, they go, when they're living out in Minnesota on the banks of Plum Creek, they go to church, and the church there has received gifts from back east for all of kind of the pioneers that are out in the middle of nowhere and can't get a hold of some of these items. So there's some beautiful things given out to the families at the church, and one of the things that Laura receives is a beautiful fur cape and muff. And she has been wanting one of these, but you know, of course, her parents aren't super wealthy. They don't have very much money, and they're just trying to get by. So she never thought she'd have one. But yeah, it's the cutest story, and it always makes me cry when I read it, and it's so heartwarming. Yeah, it's just wonderful. Anyway, can you tell I really like those books? So I was excited to get that, and I'm excited to start using some of the club yarn. I think I might use, I actually have it sitting right here because I left it out when I packed my stash up, but I might use the first club colorway, which is Little House in the Big Woods, of course. Might use that to knit a flax light for the baby. So I liked how it had the bright greens and just a really fun, bright colorway. Definitely, I mean, it would be good for a girl or a boy, in my opinion, but I like that kind of green undertone, so definitely great for a boy. So yeah, I'm excited to get to use some of that, and I can't wait till Molly is established back in Germany. Her and her family moved back this month, and I know they're settling in, looking for flats to rent or to buy. To rent? I don't know. Maybe, not sure what their plans are. But anyway, just assumed to rent, but you never know. And this fall, I think she's hoping to open the shop back up. So, and then they'll be continuing with the Little House Club. So I can't wait for that. And other than that, we are just, yeah, waiting to move. It's very exciting and very stressful. So I probably won't podcast for another couple weeks, though I'm really hoping that with our new setup, it'll be a little easier for me to maybe go in a different room, close the door, and be able to podcast a little bit more frequently. Until then, I want to wish you all a good night or a good morning if you're, well, obviously you're not going to be watching this right now because I still have to edit it and upload it, but no matter what time of day you're watching this, I hope you have a great day. I hope you are doing things that make you happy, especially in this time right now. We all need to just keep doing things that make us happy. So keep knitting, keep crocheting, drawing, singing, binge watching shows, whatever. And I will talk to you all again very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.